Live from the BMW of Atlantic City studios, this is Fantasy Dominance Now. Come dominate fantasy sports with us. And bringing you all the tools to dominate is Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountants. Give them a call, 215-369-3300, or go visit them, 301 Oxford Valley Road, Yardley, Pennsylvania. Happy Upset City, everybody. If week one in the NFL is half as exciting as week one in the college ranks, we are in for a treat. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Rob Povia. Joining me is A2D Radio's resident Pittsburgh fan, Mike Kleinkoff, Brian Daly, who dominates in all things fantasy sports, and Matt Tensudi is bringing you all the fantasy dominance from the producer's chair. What up, gentlemen? How you doing today?
What's going on, brother?
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful weather, mid-September, or actually early September, going into week one in the NFL. It's always a happy time. Especially happy for me. I want to wish my nephew Nick a happy 14th birthday today. You want to know how you're getting old, fellas? When you realize that your nephew will be shaving soon.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I got a nephew that's turning 13. So I know how you feel about that.
Yeah.
I was in high school when the kid was born.
Oh, look at Maddie walking around with a walker. Go screw you. Yeah,
Hurtful.
we got together a little bit for his birthday this weekend, and he was rocking, some chops for filling in, a little mustache, and he's like, he wants to shave now, and his mom's like, no.
Because it won't stop.
Yeah, exactly. And we've all been there before. But, hey, if you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search a2dradio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at RobbieBLTZ. Mike, you are at?
Mike_Kleinkoff.
And Brian?
I believe it's Brian_A2D Radio.
That is correct.
That's how much we use Twitter.
I don't use my Twitter at all, so it's tough to remember the name sometimes.
If you get a notification, I'm sure you'll pop on and you'll answer someone's fantasy question.
Absolutely.
Of course.
I know I'm on it like a sieve, a little too much sometimes. So we're here for you during the show. Even if it's after the show, we'll get you ready for week one. Now, speaking of which, we have a great show in store for you all today. At long last, week one in the NFL is upon us, which means only one thing. It's time for the epic return of Fresh or Stale, our version of Start 'em or Sit 'em. We'll get you ready for week one, who you're going to start, who you're going to sit, who's going to put up, fresh numbers in week one, or who's going to be stale as day-old cheese for you. Mm-hmm. We'll also get into the injury reports in both the NFL and Major League Baseball. But first, the main topic of the day, Yoan Moncada has entered the building, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to highlight the five-tool infielder and determine if he's a must-start for the fantasy baseball playoffs. 23 of the top 30 Major League Baseball prospects are September call-ups vying for fantasy relevancy. Who can help you win that championship? And on our station's Twitter handle, at A2DRadio_com, we asked you, is Yoan Moncada a must-start for fantasy baseball playoffs? Pretty simple, yes or no. We'll get into those answers towards the end of the show. But first, let's start off with Mike. Do you think Yoan Moncada is a must-start for the fantasy baseball playoffs?
Well, he does play for Boston. And Boston scores a lot of runs. So, you got to take that chance. I think you need that little extra push, and you might as well gamble with him. And like I said, Boston's a team that's going to score a lot of runs. So, you'll get a lot of points with the run RBI department.
Man, there's no doubt about it.
So,
Brian, what do you think? Must-start?
I don't think so. Not yet. He's only played 4 games. He's got 4 hits in the 4 games. He's not really showing off much of his power. He's got 1 double. He's got 1 RBI on the year.
But that was his first major league hit, was that RBI double. And if you notice, our thumbnail for the show is him putting the finger up, pointing to the bench, saying, there's my first. And it was in true fashion, chopping it down the line. He's got a lot of skill. There's no doubt about it, but I'm actually siding more towards Brian on this issue, and this is mostly why. Because it's been established that he's only going to be starting, even though he's a switch hitter, he's only going to be starting against right-handed pitchers. They're going to go with another option at third base. So that may not be reliable for a must-start, especially when you're in weekly leagues, definitely in weekly leagues, but even in daily leagues, I think he's definitely a good add. If you have that bench spot, a guy that you could throw in, and he's going to produce. He's absolutely going to produce. The kid just hits the cover off the ball. the question I have with him is his defensive ability. He's been known to make a few errors, and it's not through a lack of talent. He's got that skill. He's got it. It's more about mental lapses, getting down on the ball, certainly keeping that glove, keeping those soft hands. So that's going to come with time. I mean, let's face facts. The Red Sox brought him up from Double-A straight to the majors. The kid still needs time to maturate, but I mean, I think he's definitely roster worthy, must start. I'm not willing to go there yet.
Yeah, I agree. The kid's got talent, and it's only going to come with time. And like you said, he's platooning, so he's not even going to be playing every day. I believe is he still going to be platooning with Travis Shaw, or is Travis Shaw hurt?
No, Travis Shaw is still an option. They're going to keep him off the bench. Let me just pull up one thing really quickly that has that description for you.
Because I know he's been seeing most of the playing time in Boston over at third base.
Yeah, because they have been going against right-handers. I mean, in true Boston fashion, they still sat him in the first game when I was looking. Because I have him on my team, obviously. If I'm talking about advocating for you to pick him up, of course, I pick him up before then.
But, yeah, I mean, he won the MVP at the future All-Star game. So, I mean, this kid's got talent.
I want to know who you dropped.
Who did I drop?
Yeah.
I wound up dropping Marcell Ozuna.
Oh, okay.
He banged up his wrist in the Mets series, and I don't believe he still hasn't gotten onto the playing field yet. And he was already scuffling before that, so
yeah,
it was It was tough because I'm in playoff position. I'm in position to get that first round bye, and Ozuna was one of the guys that got me there. But you got to make tough calls when it comes to the fantasy baseball playoffs, and it's Aaron Hill that'll be splitting time with at third base, who's been, pretty on and off throughout the season. He's had some good production. I've advised to pick him up while he's been hot over times during the season. But overall, Boston's third base production has been down. That's been their one Achilles heel, and what Mike pointed out is a solid offense. So Moncada will certainly improve that, but you'll only be seeing him when there's a lefty in there. Expect to see Aaron Hill starting.
Okay. No, I like that. And by the way, I'm in your second seed in your losers bracket for our league. My team just can't get it done. Just can't get it done. You look at my roster and you're like, damn, how the hell is this team 7-14?
Well, when you're playing me 3 times a year, you know what I mean?
I am 0-3.
You look like you were going to beat me this week. But
I was up by like 1.3 against them, and then my team just shit the bed.
But looking into Mr. Yoan Moncada, who's listed at second base eligibility, of course he should become third base eligible. Once he gets to 10 games or whatever your setting is in your league. Switch hitter, as I mentioned, throws right, 6'2", 205 pounds. Just an absolute beast of a man. He's 21 years old, already has a man's frame, and he's just, he's definitely the future. And he's the number one prospect in Major League Baseball for a reason, and he's definitely going to be lifting up an already potent Red Sox lineup as they try to pursue that AL East crown.
Agreed. I mean, if you look at his stats from when he was playing in the foreign leagues, and if you look at his stats playing in the minor leagues, he can hit the ball. He can hit the ball. He can steal bases. It's like you said at the beginning of the show. He's one of the few true 5-tool players in baseball.
Right, and the first that we've seen in the infield in some time. I mean, you can go to your boy Andrew McCutchen, outfielder. Mike Trout, outfielder. Bryce Harper, outfielder. Now bringing a little love to the infield in terms of the 5 tools. And a couple ground balls that I saw him take, certainly he did boot one, but he has been receiving them well. That hasn't been the question. What hasn't been the question is throwing to first base. Absolute beaties over to first base.
Yeah, absolute stud over there in that corner. But overall, I mean, like you guys have been saying too, he's absolutely insane. And in the Double-A system with Portland recently, he hit 11 home runs and batted .277 there. So
in 45 games, yeah.
So and then overall in his minor league. The little minor league career that he's had, he's overall .294 with 15 home runs. So
right. Well, there's a reason why the Red Sox spent $31 million to sign the Cuban in February of 2015. So I mean, they wanted to get these 5 tools. Certainly he will be worth the money, and where he's already showing it off. Over 300 batting average this year in a small sample size. But after a slow start in May and June in the minor league career, he's certainly in the second half hitting amazing 310, 500 slugging, 34 walks, and 45 steals and 48 attempts in the last 56 games overall. Just he's a beast, man.
That's insane.
Yep.
The one thing that truly impresses me with this guy is his walk to strikeout ratio.
Right.
In minors, he had for 64 strikeouts, he had 27 walks, and when he was playing in Cuba, he had 40 walks to 69 strikeouts. So he walks almost just as much as he strikes out, and that could be valuable.
Right. And as I said before, the glove needs work. He had an unacceptable 23 errors in 71 defensive games at second base. But he, like I said, he seems to have the athleticism for the position. Certainly just learning third base as well. Played 10 games in the minor leagues before they called him up or whatever, so he's still learning on the job. But he can make some spectacular plays. And, he just tends to lose that concentration and mess up the routine stuff. Comes with a young player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but like you're saying, talk about a young player. He's going to be able to adjust well to play in a hot corner now. But, just like any other player in MLB should be able to adapt to a new position. I mean, you've been playing the game your whole life. Why can't you?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the key thing here, he has the intangibles that you just can't teach. And that's speed, power, plate discipline, all the tools that you want is carrying forward. So it makes him certainly fantasy viable, a must start, maybe not quite yet, but certainly having him as an asset as you make a push towards the fantasy baseball playoffs, there's no doubting his ability to help you get there.
Yeah, so definitely pick him up now while you can, because I'm sure his own rate's going to be climbing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, he's just one of many. Like I said, there's been, obviously this is the land of September call-ups, and this is always good because this can help solidify your offense where you have some maybe aging veterans that are a little banged up, that got you in playoff position, but just aren't healthy enough or maybe are slumping heading in, that you need to really bypass that big name and play and plug in one of these kids coming up. Also, where it helps too, especially on the pitching side, as some of the younger guys that were started with their respective clubs or were called up earlier in the year may be reaching that pitching inning limit. So guys that are being brought up in September may be able to help you, especially a guy like Jose De Leon, who's only pitched 75-plus innings this year total because he started off the year injured. He's still got a lot of innings. He can go up to maybe 110, 120 innings. He should certainly be helping the Dodgers when it comes to a playoff push. And he's definitely a guy, if you need to, supplant a guy that's reaching his innings limit or is injured, you can throw him in there, man. And a lot of leagues he's listed as a relief pitcher. He'll get starting pitcher eligibility, but you can get that sneaky start in a relief position. That's very valuable as you get creative, matchup to matchup, moving your way to a fantasy championship.
Yeah, I definitely like Jose De Leon. He was a guy that me and you just discussed earlier. I mean, he's 1-0, 9 strikeouts in his first game in 6 innings pitched. I mean, he led up to 3 earned runs, but other than that, I mean, he obviously absolute stud on the mound. But I mean, and for your first game in the league too, that's pretty solid. Most guys usually have those pregame jitters. Like I said, the 3 earned runs, I wouldn't even worry about that.
Right. I said 75. He actually had 86.1 innings in AAA this year. But look at these numbers, fellas. 2.61 ERA, .94 WHIP with 111 strikeouts in those 86 innings.
That's awesome.
Everybody gives the love to Urias in Dodgerland. De Leon may be even better.
Yeah. Urias hasn't really played that well since he's been up. I mean, he's had okay starts, but he's been getting rocked every now and then too. That's why they keep sending him back down.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they are expecting Kershaw back soon too now, but
yeah, Kershaw's supposed to make his start this week.
Friday,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into the little more details of that later on the show when we talk about injured guys coming and going. But, yeah, no, I mean, and that's the question, too. You also have Kazmir potentially. He's rehabbing, depending on what his rehab start looks like. That might define what De Leon's role is going to be moving forward. So, again, a guy that's going to help you get to that championship, but may not be a necessary must start, especially in weekly leagues, because the Dodgers they're not tipping their hand on how they're going to utilize De Leon.
Well, I say they should keep him up if they really want to get that nice playoff push going. I mean, they don't have too much of a safe lead with the Giants, even though they're the worst team since the All-Star break. But
yeah, they'll keep the 24-year-old up. They'll keep him up. It just all depends on will he stick in the rotation, will he move to the pen. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion when he started Sunday that he was going to be, and then had that successful start against the Padres, that he would remain in the rotation. But now they're saying his next start may be skipped in favor of Kazmir.
You know what? He's too good. So we're going to put him back down.
Yeah, he's just too good. It's not fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally wouldn't hate the idea of him being in the bullpen. At least this way, he's still going to get this major league experience. He's still going to get to come out and pitch. Maybe not every day, but most days he'll get to come out and pitch an inning or so or whatever, and get that valuable major league experience that most guys need.
Yeah. I mean, if he could pitch like that, I mean, why wouldn't you? You could use him in any position that you want. I like that idea that you could bring him in as a relief guy too.
Yeah, multiverse. I mean, we saw that with Urias. Dodgers employed that tactic. Maybe they might do that with this young right-hander as well. Another guy I want to talk about too on the Cincinnati Reds, Robert Stephenson. Not really. I mean, he's one of the top 30 in all Major League Baseball in terms of prospects that was called up this September. But not much love was given to him, maybe based on the team that he has or maybe some of his control issues that he's had in the minors, as he's posted a 4.41 ERA at the AAA level in Louisville. But, I mean, you can't argue with what the kid's done so far since he's been up. I mean, he actually had 2 starts earlier in the year, which he posted a pretty good start against Colorado, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 Ks, and the W. Now, he got the loss on Labor Day against the Mets, but again pitched a pretty good game, 6 hits and 5 1/3 innings, 2 earned runs, 1 walk to 9 strikeouts. What impressed me about this kid is not only the velocity on his fastball, but the dip on the splitter that he throws. It's nasty.
Nasty man.
It is nasty. And, I mean, currently he's only owned in 5% of leagues. This is a guy that you could snatch up and play pitcher ditch with for the rest of the season, as he's pitching for a Reds team that overall has been playing better than they had been for a majority of the season.
Yeah, for a team, I think they've actually led up the most home runs in the league this year, too, with their pitching staff.
Right.
So, I mean, this is only going to give them a boost. And, yeah, he's been playing pretty damn well.
And, man, do the Reds' future look bright. You got him with Brandon Finnegan, DeScalfani, who's just been lights out since coming back from the DL. Then you also have a kid, John Lamb, that has been scuffling on and off, but he's got good stuff, too. If he could ever figure it out, that's a dynamic 4-man rotation for the Reds.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, even jump into the other team in that division and my team in that division with Tyler Glass now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that he needs to come up because our our rotation sucks. I mean, we've been going through a couple of minor leaguers. We're cool. Tyone played a couple games for us this year, but, I mean, Glass now in the minors this year, he's 8-3, 1.87 ERA, 133 strikeouts. I mean, the guy's on fire right now. He's in his, he played 2 games with the Pirates. He was 0-1 in those starts, but 7 strikeouts. But obviously that's going to come when you're playing the Cardinals,
right.
A team that's loaded.
Yeah.
But
hits a lot of home runs this year, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I think he needs to be up. And I know he's on your fantasy team, and I know you want him to be up.
I think it's only a matter of time that the Pirates could use him as they
need him now.
Yeah, to get into that back into that wild card position. The thing about him, and I get it with the organization looking forward, is that he needs to work out those control issues. As many strikeouts as he does and low whip, because he doesn't give up many hits. He either strikes you out or walks you.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he figured that out for a little bit in the minors and then a couple starts in the majors, but after he got hurt and came back, had another appearance where he had 3 innings. It was a great poker hand. 3 innings, 3 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So maybe they might be thinking that, we could use him this year, but let's look long term.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope not as an owner, but that could be a position that they take.
Yeah, it's just my issue right now is the Pirates are 67 and 68 right now. And, they're on a 7-game losing streak, which, is their worst losing streak since 2014. So it's a matter of time. I mean, we've been bringing up a lot of these kids now with Garrett Cole being hurt. Ivan Nova's been playing great. I think he's 3-0 or something with us, or 4-0 since he's came to the team, and he's been lights out. But that's really he's been our best pitcher.
Yeah.
You know, with Liriano gone, you know, it's just I don't know. Vogelsong's not really doing it.
Right.
It's just
Right. Well, moving quickly across the state before we hit the break, I know, Brian, you said you had a couple Phillies prospects that were called up that may or may not be fantasy relevant.
Well, I mean, they're not called up yet, but hopefully we'll see them
Okay.
within the next couple of days or so. One of them is Ben Lively, who's been pitching well in AAA. He's got a 306 earned run average in 117 innings pitched in Lehigh Valley. He's given up 40 earned runs, walked 27, struck out 90. So his control's pretty much there. I would like to see the walks come down a little bit more, and he's got a little bit of a high whip at .935. But I think, you know, come September, this team's not going to win anything, obviously, at this point. Why not bring him up, throw him in a rotation that's hasn't exactly been healthy and hasn't exactly been strong lately? So he could probably help out there. You can get an early preview of what you're going to get from him and see how he faces some of these major league hitters. Another guy is Dylan Cousins, who's batting .276 down in, I believe he's in Double-A. 38 doubles, 3 triples, 40 home runs, 125 RBIs. His strikeouts are a lot higher than most people would want to see him at 186. But I think he's another one of those outfield 5-tool players because he can steal bags too. He's got 21 stolen bases.
Okay.
And then Roman Quinn, who's batting .287. It might be time to call him up. He's got 14 doubles, 6 triples, 6 home runs. He's another one that can steal bases, and the Phillies need that. Phillies are desperately in need of guys who can steal bases. He's got 31 down in Double-A.
Right.
And, you know, they need some of these speed guys that are going to steal bags. Phillies don't steal bags anymore.
Right. Out of these guys, who do you think is most likely to get a call-up and potentially help out in fantasy?
Right now, probably Dylan Cousins.
Dylan Cousins. Cool. I mean, so we covered Dylan Cousins. You know, keep an eye out for him. We broke down, keep an eye out for Glasnow, Robert Stephenson, who's currently in the bigs, De Leon, who's currently in the bigs. Keep an eye on him. And then, of course, the cream of the crop, Yoan Moncada. We'll get back to him later on the show. We'll get to what the people say. Is he a must-start? Is he not a must-start? But before we go to break, I do want to tell you about what is a must-start all the time. Are the BMWs of the BMW of Atlantic City dealership. They challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to. Minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway. Or check them out online, bmwatlanticcity.com. On the other side, we're getting to a little fresh or stale for week 1 in the NFL. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com. Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
Do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
And welcome back to the party that is Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. Mike Kleinkoff, Brian Daly, Matt Tensudi bringing you all the ones and twos, all the sound that is fantasy glory. I'm Rob Povey. Hey, if you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got specific fantasy questions, tweet us with the hashtag AskFDN. Now, speaking of parties, gentlemen, if you have a party coming up, the one place to call is Liberty Event Rentals. They deliver tents, chairs, tables, linens, everything you'll need for that special occasion. Give them a call, 267-314-7368, or look them up online, libertyeventrentals.com. So I know Mikey's happy. Week 1 coming up in the NFL. I mean, we're all happy. We're all ecstatic. It's a big party when football returns.
You ain't kidding. This is the time of the year that I love the most. I love baseball, but you can only talk so much about it. I'm just ready to talk about football for the next 17 weeks.
What's your hierarchy in terms of the 4 majors? What comes first on your list?
Fantasy-wise, probably football.
Yeah?
Definitely football.
Overall,
hockey's been creeping up, but it's still football.
Yeah?
Football, hockey, probably basketball, then baseball.
Wow, baseball last. Okay, interesting. Brian, same question.
Probably hockey, baseball, football, basketball.
That makes sense based on the shows you do. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's always been a tie. I played baseball. I have a passion for hockey. I can never differentiate between the two. Because I played, I always give the edge to baseball. So I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum as Mike. Then a close second, football. Basketball is a distant fourth for me.
Yeah,
I like the college game.
I mean, I think I would rather watch NASCAR versus basketball sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
I like NASCAR too, but I'd rather watch a basketball game.
Nah, I'm good.
Fantasy basketball season should be very interesting.
Yeah.
On the show between
I'll
two.
definitely enjoy it. I could tell you I know more names in basketball than I do baseball. So.
Well, it is week 1 in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen, which means the grand return of Fresh or Stale, which in case this is the first time you're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now this year and you didn't catch us during fantasy football season last year, it's our version of Start 'em or Sit 'em. what's a fresh play? A guy that maybe is owned 60, 70% of leagues, and you're teetering on that start, and we're going to solidify that he will get you mad points. Maybe he's owned in 100% of leagues, but we're going to verify that he's going to be getting you mad points. On the other side, stale players, guys that are owned 90 to 100% of leagues, may disappoint you come Sunday. So, buyer beware, so to speak. And, bringing you all the fresh or stale segments is the Sports Outlet, where all of their materials are fresh for all of your sporting needs. Give them a call, 856-939-2030. Look them up online, sportsoutletinc.com. So I'm going to read through who my fresh play, who my stale play is for all the positions. We'll all go through it, and then we'll dissect exactly why we have them in that category. My fresh play this week is Derek Carr at New Orleans. My stale play, Phillip Rivers at Kansas City. For running back, my fresh play is Amir Abdullah at Indianapolis. My stale play is Thomas Rawls versus Miami. My wide receiver fresh play, former local product, everybody's favorite, Deshaun Jackson versus Mikey's Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'll explain why after we get through our list. My stale play is Kelvin Benjamin at Denver. For the tight end position, my fresh play is Jason Witten versus the Giants. My stale play is Charles Clay at Baltimore. For the flex position, my fresh play is Latavius Murray at New Orleans, kind of picking on that defense a little bit. And my stale play is Arian Foster at Seattle. For team defense, I had to go between two. I like the Rams. I like the Vikings. But ultimately, I'm going to say my fresh play is the Rams at San Francisco. My stale play is the Patriots at Arizona. For my kickers, fresh. And this is important because kickers can make or break your week. Fresh play, Dan Bailey versus the Giants. Stale play, Blair Walsh at Tennessee. So there you have it. I want to give you gentlemen an opportunity to run through your list. Who's fresh, who's stale, week 1 in the NFL.
Well, my list wasn't as great as yours, but we did match with Jason Witten.
Okay.
I can tell you that as a fresh play. I mean, Dak's definitely going to look for him. I could tell you that. Young rookie quarterbacks love checking down to the tight ends, so always got to rely on the big man.
Yeah, and Jason Witten, he's always killed the Giants, who also rank last in points allowed to tight ends going from last year, and that defense hasn't improved. And like you said, Dak will be checking down like crazy.
Oh, yeah. Another guy wrote down, and you said the quarterback's Derek Carr, but I wrote down Michael Crabtree.
Okay.
I mean, he's 90% owned in leagues, but he's a guy that's going up against that weak Saints defense, and he's going to be getting a lot of targets. My one friend's a huge Raiders fan, and he's been watching Carr throw to him almost more than he's been throwing to Amari Cooper. So
Right. So he's a nice fresh play for the wide receiver position. Cool.
Yeah. Let's see here. Trying to go through a list right now.
Well, Brian, jump in if you have any fresh or stale.
Well, my fresh quarterback would be Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Despite he's playing a okay Oakland defense, but with the way that the defense is in New Orleans, they're always going to be in a crapshoot. They're probably more than likely going to be down most games, so it's going to give Brees more of an opportunity to pass the ball, and you're going to see more passing yards and hopefully more touchdowns from Drew Brees. I mean, he threw for almost 5,000 yards last year, 30 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe he got Lance Moore back, so now he's got another weapon on top of Brandon Cooks and Josh Hill and CJ Spiller. So he's one there. And then I'm actually going to go on a limb here and say another fresh would be Will Fuller of the Houston Texans.
That is balls to the wall. That's sneaky right there.
I think it is going to be sneaky, especially since he's playing opposite of DeAndre Hopkins against Chicago. Odds are Hopkins will probably be double covered most of the day, so that's going to open up Fuller to hopefully, get some receptions, get some targets.
Yeah.
Actually, Lance Moore, he's being listed. He's not on the Saints depth chart, and they're saying he's a former American football wide receiver, so he may be looking for a new team or maybe has hung it up. I don't see any news of him hanging it up, so he's probably just he announced his retirement August 8th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Lance Moore's not an option for Drew Brees, but who is? on in terms of that third wide receiver, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is that
rookie, right?
talent rookie.
Yeah.
He should be their third wide receiver. I mean, Brandon Coleman has had more time with the team, so maybe he'll lead off in that position. But you'll see Michael Thomas. It's Willie Snead.
I was going to say, you can't forget about Willie Snead.
Yeah.
Willie Snead's going to get a lot of targets. And going with one of my teams, you got to look for Marcus Wheaton this week.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Redskins, Jesus Christ, Josh Norman's going to be – I drew a blank on his name.
And as I did last week. Yeah.
Josh Norman's going to be covering up on AB, so it's going to leave the other side wide open for Wheaton in the slot. So just look for him.
All those Joshes blend together. I think I called him Josh Gordon last week.
Yeah, Josh Gordon, yeah.
I'm like, no, he's not the pipe smoker. No.
Some people that I did drafts with drafted him real early. People were drafting him like 5th round, and I'm like, why? I understand why people are going for him, but do you feel 5th round is way too early for Josh Gordon?
Yeah, I think so. I know so, man. I think that's way too early. I mean, I had him outside my top 100.
Yeah.
I mean, not because of the talent, but because we don't know the instability of him staying sober in this league.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland did say that they are going to give him, that third, fourth chance maybe at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So he has the potentiality to be maybe a top 30, top 40 wide receiver in terms of talent. He'll get the opportunities. It's just all about how it fleshes out in Cleveland, and we never know. That's a sticky situation. We talked about that on Agree to Disagree, how many former first-round picks they've let go. I believe it was like 6 out of 9 out of the last 9. Unbelievable.
I got actually DeMarco Murray as a stale.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, coming off the season that he had in Philadelphia where I believe he was utilized the wrong way, going to Tennessee, it's a new start for him. I think they started to use him right in the preseason. He broke off a 91-yard TD run in the first preseason game, so hopefully that's a sign of things to come for DeMarco. But coming off a season where he didn't rush for 1,000 yards and only had 6 touchdowns, he might be one of those guys where you want to just let's see what he does the first couple weeks, and if he produces, then we'll talk about putting him back up in the lineup.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, there's some other guys that can tilt the ball there. I mean, you got also, rookie and Derrick Henry. How much will he be utilized there as well? And then you still have Albers. He's distant in that depth chart, but he's still there. So, yeah, in terms of stale, until you see how Tennessee's going to deploy everyone, that's got some validity there. I mean, tying into my stale play, which I had stated was Thomas Rawls, people are like, probably got to say, like, what are you smoking some crack, man? You got to start Thomas Rawls.
Yeah, it's Miami.
It's despite a solid matchup, I can see this game getting out of hand in Seattle's favor. Normally, that would bolster a running back, but I feel Seattle will pull Rawls early if they get up big in that game and pound it with Christian Michael, who's had a fabulous preseason, and rookie C.J. Prosise to protect that ankle injury that Rawls is still coming back from.
Yeah, as a stale running back, I actually have Jonathan Stewart this week against Denver's defense. I would stay away from any of those offensive players against Denver's defense this week.
Right.
So, I mean, your best bet for getting any points, I would probably look for Devin Funchess.
Yeah.
That's really the only person I would say. Or, it's all risky. It's all risky against Denver's defense.
Exactly.
I don't know if I really want to start anybody against Denver's defense, but
well, here's where your point might be to go with Devin is that I had Kelvin Benjamin as a stale play. He's coming back into the swing of things. Of course, he had a full preseason, granted, but I still feel that he'll be stale in his own game a little bit, and then going up against the Denver defense, Cam Newton's got to throw to somebody. Maybe that might be Devin Funchess.
Yeah. One thing about fantasy with defense, I heard Denver's not happy with Aqib Talib.
Yep.
I heard they were shopping him.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
I'll take him.
After those 2 bogus personal foul calls in the Super Bowl, I don't blame him.
Right.
He's done nothing but get himself into trouble.
And he got shot this offseason, too.
Well, he shot himself.
Yeah.
He did.
Another NFL player shooting themselves.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I know Tommy mentioned on Agree to Disagree, man. Bring Talib to Philly. Man, I think if you put Talib on that Eagles defense, you're talking top 10 defense in the NFL.
They're already on the verge of that.
Right.
People are really, underrating the Eagles defense this year. But we'll see. You know?
We talked last week. The Chiefs have a solid defense. That's why I have Phillip Rivers as a stale play. Arrowhead's a tough place to open up with week 1. And that Chiefs defense, man, that scares me with Phillip Rivers' production.
Yeah. It's the loudest stadium in the league, despite Atlanta, pumping noise into their stadium. So.
Right. And then Rivers always, go ahead, Brian.
You want to talk about a stale player for this week, Ryan Tannehill. Despite being comfortable in the new system that he's got to go into Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
12th man. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's going up against a defense that allowed the fewest touchdowns in the NFL in 2015. So, unless you are absolutely hands tied, you have no choice. I would not start Tannehill.
I'm staying away from all Miami's players. Like I mentioned Arian Foster as a stale play in my flex. I mean, you may be tempted to start Foster out of the gate while he's healthy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But slow your roll. Slow your roll.
Do it now.
12th man, Seattle D.
Yeah.
Where have we heard this before? Plus, who gets the line share of carries? I want to see first because you got Jay Ajayi there as well. So I want to see how they break out that running back tandem before I start Arian Foster.
Yeah, he's a good bench player to have on your team because at some point Foster's going to be out with a hamstring injury, out for 4 weeks.
Which a lot of owners will want to play him while he's healthy, but this is not a good matchup.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I'm a Jarvis Landry owner, and he's a guy that's going to have a hard matchup against Sherman. So
right. And I hate to burst your bubble, Mikey, starting a guy against your Pittsburgh Steelers. But Pittsburgh actually gave up the 3rd most points to opposing wide receivers. So I'm saying a fresh play is Deshaun Jackson. He should be fresh, so to speak, coming into the season, injury-free because he's had his injury bugaboos as well. Start Deshaun. So I say start Deshaun Jackson, unlike Arian Foster, before that Week 4 injury, which is more than likely coming.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely against, like you said, 3rd worst. I mean,
based on last year's numbers, which is all we have to go by right now.
Yeah, pass defense is definitely an issue, and I know that for a fact. I mean, that's where our defense was blowing games. Last year was just our pass defense, and people were just marching right down the field. But when it comes to running, man, we shut it down. We were top 5 in rushing defense, 48 sacks last year. I mean, we talked about this on previous shows. I don't want to keep going into it, but,
They blown it like Mia Khalif?
Yeah. Apparently she's a big Seminoles fan, huh?
Yeah, apparently. Go on, sorry. Just want to throw that little jab in there.
But, yeah. I like the decision, though, with Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as I don't like to admit it, I mean, it's the same thing with Jordan Reed. I think he's a good start for this week, too, against our defense. I mean, to have 2 threats with Jackson and him, I mean, even Josh Doxson might be getting a chance, too, so you got to watch out for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good call. That's a very good call. Brian?
Well, let me ask you this. What about Jordy Nelson? He's in the same situation as Kelvin Benjamin. He's going up against a potentially tough Jacksonville defense in Jacksonville. I mean, I get he's got Aaron Rodgers at the helm, but he's coming off of a really bad knee injury.
They said he's fully healthy, ready to go.
Yep, he's been verified week 1. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is Rodgers' main guy. I mean, I would probably keep him more as a flex spot than as a main guy kind of thing.
No, I'd start him as wide receiver, and I'll tell you why. Yeah, because Jacksonville did improve their defense, their front 7 defense. Their weakness is their secondary, and that's where Rodgers can have a field day on that team. I mean, they have young players in that secondary with potential, so we don't know what that's going to look like. But what I'm seeing now, that's their weakness. Jordy Nelson, I think, is a must-start because the knee that he had surgery on is perfectly sound, tested out well. He was having problems with the other knee during the preseason, which kept him out of some practice and some preseason games. But now that's been verified. All preseason games, pardon me, yeah. So I think he should be good to go.
I mean, I think right there, that would kind of make me pump my brakes a little bit. If you got a flex spot, I would use maybe Jordy Nelson on the flex spot. But what about, missing the preseason games?
He's not going to be up to game speed.
Well,
that's my only issue. But then again, like Rob was saying, Aaron Rodgers is his quarterback. You know?
I mean, you still got what's his name? Is Devontae Adams still over there? You still got Randall
Yeah,
Cobb.
but he's like a 3 or 4 guy. I mean, he's not big. And then you still got Richard Rodgers, too, at tight end, where I think he's going to be checking
Jared
down.
Cook, too.
Yeah.
Bingo bango, man. Will Jared Cook finally show up? Will the real Jared Cook finally stand up?
Because after he left Tennessee, he was nothing. He didn't do much in St. Louis or L.A. or wherever they want to move to. Because he seemed to want to move everywhere.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, I'm just asking because one of the guys in my fantasy league wound up taking Kelvin Benjamin and Jordy Nelson. Yeah, that's potential for a huge threat at wide receiver. But at the same time, both of these guys are coming off of major injuries.
Right.
So, I mean, they could go down like in a heartbeat just off of one hit and re-aggravate whatever it is. So you got to make sure these guys are healthy, ready to go.
Yeah.
And
It's a
take
big
your
thing.
time putting them back in the lineup sometimes.
It's kind of synonymous with weekly baseball leagues. You want to make sure that guy's healthy before you set that weekly lineup. Well, it's only Thursday through Monday when it comes to fantasy football, and you have some negotiating ability in most leagues between that. But once that 1 o'clock game starts or that 4:10 game starts, and you committed to a player that's a bit of an injury risk, and he gets hurt on the second play of the game, you are banging your head against the wall.
I know that feeling
Amongst
all
other
too well
things.
from last year.
Yeah, big time. Speaking of banging, no, not like that. Defense.
Mia Khalifa, no.
Yeah. On the defensive side, who do you guys like? Who's your fresh play? Who's your stale play in terms of defensive starts?
I mean, I really like Kansas City, like you said, this week against San Diego. I mean, Arrowhead Stadium, San Diego's just – you don't know what you're going to get out of them.
Right.
You know, they're like a box of chocolates.
Yeah. They'll go up big and then
Yeah.
and then cough it up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they do their whole, every
Right.
season.
But against the Chiefs, they might not even be able to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we already mentioned another defense that I really do like this week, and that's Seattle against Miami's offense.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to like them, but I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. I really don't like Minnesota against Tennessee.
You were shaking my head a little bit when I was saying that.
I really have this feeling that, Mariota going into his second year, he's got Delaney Walker to check down to, DeMarco Murray with a run game, and Derrick Henry backing him up. I think they could put up at least 20 or so points against that defense.
Yeah.
So I might stay away from them for this week.
I can hear that, man. That's why I had a question mark by them. I mean, definitely my main fresh play is the Rams at San Francisco.
Yeah.
I think that's a no-brainer. I think the Rams fell off in terms of their rankings and overall team defense. But if you're, let's say you have Vikings are the team that you drafted as your starting defense because there's a lot to like about that Vikings defense, but you're not feeling that at Tennessee. The Rams, that's a sneaky play right there. Playing on Monday night. I love having starts on Monday night to get that Monday night victory. So, I think the Rams will do quite well, as Chip Kelly's system begins to infiltrate the Bay Area. And the Rams defense, can create turnovers, can sack the quarterback. And your quarterback's going to be Blaine Gabbert, not the aforementioned Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think it'd be much different anyway.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you lost to Blaine Gabbert.
But
and he's vegan now.
Yeah,
so that means it's more brittle, just like Arian Foster.
I love
You
it.
can't admit that you're vegan. You just go down.
Absolutely. A lot of teams a lot of managers are high on the Patriots defense this year. I don't like them out in the desert starting
No
off
way.
week one. Yeah.
No way.
I'm just not high on that defense at all. I mean, they perform well in the special teams aspect.
Yeah.
And they do create points off the turnover, but Arizona is just that offense may be arguably the best offense in football when all is said and done.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week with Nikovic, he's out for 4 games now with that suspension and, losing I kept talking about him. Jones. What's his name? Chandler Jones.
Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
So, I mean, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
And David Johnson, who's supposed to have a huge year, is going to get to them now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think the Cards, along with Green Bay, will be vying for top spot in the NFC in terms of offense. Brian, do you have any team defenses, fresh or stale?
I got a fresh one, actually, believe it or not, is Buffalo's.
You got a fresh one? Nice.
I got a couple of those, too. No, but Buffalo's defense against Baltimore. Baltimore's offense is really non-existent anymore. I mean, Joe Flacco does the best he can with what he has, but they don't have much.
Mm-hmm.
They cut Justin Forsett just to bring him back.
Yeah.
Because they realized that they don't have anything after him.
They'll get a pay cut, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
That pissed me off real quick, man, because I got that news broke on Saturday, so I rushed off to see, okay, who's going to be that lead back now? Is it going to be Terrence West? Is it going to be Buck Allen? It's going to be eventually Kenneth Dixon, but.
Well, I mean, they're saying with bringing back Forsett, it's going to be a mixture of Forsett, Terrence West, and Buck Allen, but they just don't know in what form yet.
Yeah, it's a committee.
Yeah, and then the wide receiver core, I don't even know who they have anymore.
Steve Smith Sr., that's really all they have.
I thought he retired.
Nah, he because he got hurt, he came back for another year. I thought the same thing before, like, we started talking or mentioning the football draft stuff, but he's coming back for one more year.
I got their full depth chart here. Steve Smith Sr. on the other side, Mike Wallace.
They just got him. Screw Mike Wallace.
I know.
You want to say the word? He's a scumbag. Okay?
Nice. Nice.
This guy literally left Pittsburgh to go to Miami where he sucked, and then went to the Vikings where he sucked, and now he's going to go to Baltimore and he's going to suck again.
I mean, he might not, especially if he's going to be getting a lot of looks. I mean, after him, it's got to be who? What, Brandon Perriman?
This guy had such a better career in Pittsburgh and really screwed himself when
Kamar Aiken.
Oh, Kamar Aiken.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
When no, it's okay. When he went when he left Pittsburgh. But it's like the same thing. I mean,
you can say that a lot about the wide receivers from Pittsburgh. I mean, look at Santonio Holmes. Where did his career go after he left Pittsburgh?
Nowhere.
The one wild card with this Ravens offense is their tight end Crockett Gilmore. And he's not from the Gilmore Girls. I know what you're thinking. But, no, he's 24 years old. He's 24 years old. He had 33 receptions for 412 yards and 4 touchdowns last season. I see him as a very sneaky tight end moving into this 2016 campaign. And, Flacco loves to check down.
I loved him for daily fantasy last year. He was like only $2,900.
Yeah.
So that's where you juiced up. And you know what? I want to share a little secret. Dak Prescott's only $5,000 for daily fantasy. Mm-hmm. And my team, I literally have Todd Gurley, Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins with Dak Prescott being my quarterback. So just throwing that out there. He's going against the Giants defense, which is pretty weak.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a shootout.
Take the chance with Dak Prescott at $5K,
yeah.
While you can. So.
Absolutely. All right, last fresh or stale for the segment. The BMW of Atlantic City dealership, always fresh, always choice. They challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get 2 minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway, or check them out online at bmwatlanticcity.com. On the other side, we're going to get into some fantasy injury news, both football and baseball, maybe some waiver advice that will help you dominate in week 1 of your fantasy football leagues, and we'll get back to one Yoan Moncada. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now here on a2dradio.com.
A2dradio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. 125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fantasy Dominance Now, where we get your fantasy game in shape. And if you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet us with the hashtag AskFDN. Who we are: Mike Kleinkoff, Brian Daly, Matt Tensudi on the ones and twos, and Rob Pobia steering the ship. Now, we get your fantasy game in shape. If you want to get your actual real-life baseball game in shape, go visit the guys at Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call, 856-889-3434, or look them up online, scanzanosports.com. So we talked about September call-ups in baseball and who will lead you to fantasy glory and that fantasy championship that you so desire. We also talked about our fresh or stale plays for Week 1 in the NFL. Who should you start? Who should you sit? If you're just joining us, you can always rewind to the beginning of the show, or tune in live, and then at the end of the show, go back to the beginning and find out who you should start and who you should sit in Week 1 in the NFL. Well, we're going to continue on with fantasy football advice, where we're going to give you a lot of the injuries going on leading into Week 1 in the NFL, and what waiver claim or waiver guy you can pick up right away to help alleviate your concerns. The guy I want to start off with first, gentlemen, is Jamal Charles. I took a risk drafting this guy pretty high, figuring coming back strong from a year where it really sacrificed due to injury. I mean, he only had like 71 attempts last year. I think it was like 4 games potentially before he went down with his injury. Well, it's really looking like it would be a stretch for Charles to play in Week 1 against the Chargers. Even if Charles does suit up, the Chiefs are expected to deploy a committee at running back with Spencer Ware and Karchandrick West, the shark attack, so to speak, or Charcan attack, as it may be. Now, if you're wondering, if you're a Jamal Charles owner, who should I grab potentially as a backup in case Charles is deemed inactive Sunday morning, I say you got to go with Spencer Ware. I know they went to West first last year, but they really liked Spencer Ware when West got hurt as that lead back, that first down, second down back, where Karchandrick is a much better third down back, change of pace, catching the ball out of the backfield and breaking it for 80 yards. He's got both have skills, but the guy I would go for is Spencer Ware.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, Jamal Charles is I gambled with him too. I drafted him last night in the 3rd round. It was like the 28th pick, somewhere in that region.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like him. My question is, you're a Cowboys fan. Do you take that chance with Prescott being your starting quarterback against the Giants?
In leagues, no. The preseason's great but the preseason really doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
You know, and I know Giants defense does suck, and he does have the potentiality of putting up 250 yards, a couple touchdowns to Dez, which would be a great day for your starting quarterback. I got to see it first. I got to see it in-game action. I love the kid from Mississippi State. You know what I mean? He was great in college, great in the preseason. You know, Mike, the NFL is it's a faster game. Will he be able to read defensive audibles? I think if you have another option on your team, you go with that. But, you know, I am a Dak Prescott owner, but he's purely going to be my backup, ironically, to Eli Manning in that same game.
That's great.
You know, but it's certainly, you know, you bring up a good point with Tony Romo, you know, going to be out, you know, I'd say at least week 9, if not week 10. You know, Dak Prescott's got to be your man. I mean, if you're in a deep league where there's just no other viable Dak Prescott, you know, it wouldn't be a bad play. I would play a wait and see approach going into that.
Yeah, I feel you.
And a big thing now, this isn't so much injury related, but you know, it was announced that Jared Goff will not start week 1 and has actually been relegated to third-string duties with a poor preseason full of turnovers. He was 1-1. His stats in the preseason were 22 for 49, which was only a 44.9% completion rate, 232 yards with 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 3 fumbles. He's going to likely be behind Case Keenum and Sean Mannon. That's probably not where most people thought the number 1 overall pick would be, but the Los Angeles coaches are being patient with Goff. You know, well, my question here with this number 1 bust that is Jared Goff, what does that mean for Todd Gurley's value? Does it inflate it or deflate it? See what I did there?
I think it inflates it big time.
You think so?
Mean, as far as quarterbacks go, I mean, if you got a number 1 overall pick and you're not going to use them in game 1, what's that really say?
He sucks. He's Ryan Leaf.
I don't know if there could ever be another Ryan Leaf. I mean, he was.
Hey man, Matt Leinart. He was pretty damn close to it.
Yeah, Matt Leinart.
But the thing that scares me is they won't have a pass game with, I think, either of the quarterbacks that they start. To me, they have probably one of the worst passing games in the league this year, which means there's going to be 7 guys in the box. And to me, that's going to hurt Gurley's value
Maybe
so
even
much.
8.
Yeah.
Maybe even 8.
Yeah, you might get that free safety blitz, you know. But to me, I really think, you know, they needed to go out and get an actual threat for a wide receiver. Because, like I said, Gurley's really their only offensive player. To me, I mean, you have Austin, but Austin, you don't know what you're going to get out of him.
Nah.
But other than that, Gurley's your guy, and Case Keenum ain't going to do anything for him.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, exactly. You can't respect. I mean, don't get me wrong. He has some success in this league, but not enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. This is why I asked that question, because I feel strongly for Mike's point. But Brian, I've seen your point, and yeah. He's their loan. That's why he went so high in fantasy football drafts, because unlike most teams that have a tandem in their backfield, Gurley's their guy, and his touches are got to go up when you don't respect the quarterback in their game.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what's funny? I don't even think Jared Goff went in my fantasy league. I don't even think anybody from St. Louis went in my fantasy league
except Gurley. Yeah,
Gurley might have been it. I don't think any other member of the Rams went. Aside from the defense.
Yeah, Jared Goff.
Maybe their kicker.
He'll be lucky to even see the field this year.
Oh, Legatron. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't settle with anything against St. Louis's LA's offense.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to get used to that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take a long time.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. I mean, until
Bradford
got traded. Old school football fans will have no problem because they're used to the Los Angeles Rams. Some of our newbies, maybe not so much. But Kenny Britt might have been a guy. I saw him go late in drafts.
Yeah.
Tavon Austin.
Well, yeah, Tavon Austin is
he's probably
he's going to probably get like a lot of special team points as well if he's going to be their kick returner again.
Which is a big reason why I went with the Rams as a fresh play for starting defense, special teams.
And then as far as, you know, jumping back to quarterbacks go, until Bradford got traded, I had a funny feeling that Wentz might have wound up being the number 3 as well, and he was number 2 overall.
Right.
So it might be something in the water with these quarterbacks that are coming out of the draft from this past season.
Good point. And now, speaking of Sam Bradford, he is no longer in Philadelphia. You've obviously heard that on many of our other shows here on a2dradio.com. He's now a Minnesota Viking to take the place of Teddy Bridgewater, who just, unless you're living under a rock, you know about the ugly, complete tear of his ACL. He actually dislocated the knee. They had to put it back into place. He's definitely done for the season. He may even be out most of next season, too, because of the injury being so in close proximity to the start of this season. Does his fantasy football value raise because of him going to the Vikings, who had a good scenario around Teddy Bridgewater? Now it's Bradford calling the plays, maybe not for week 1 until he gets acclimated, but down the road, does Sam Bradford become a good fantasy football play?
Go ahead, Brian.
I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you. Time will tell. I thought he did a decent job in Philadelphia. I think if some of these wide receivers didn't drop as many passes as they did, his numbers would have been higher and people would have liked him more. It all depends on what these receivers do in Minnesota.
Right.
I mean, can they actually catch and hold on to the ball? I know Jordan Matthews didn't.
Right.
I know there was a few off the top of my head that he should have had that couldn't hold on to.
A young kid that will is Laquan Treadwell. I'm very high on that kid. He was already being drafted. I think his value will increase because, he loves hitting that slot. Bradford does. Stephon Diggs' value might go down in terms of that deep threat because I don't like Sam Bradford's deep ball. But in terms of within 20, 25 yards, his accuracy is balls on accurate. So guys like Treadwell, Kyle Rudolph, Adrian Peterson's value.
Yeah, that's just going to skyrocket, especially for this week. With Sean Hill at the helm,
right?
It's Sean Hill.
Has that been announced that they're definitely going with Hill?
Yeah, Sean Hill is definitely going to be.
It's probably smart because you're going in a tough place. Dick LeBeau's defense in Tennessee, to have a guy that's just fresh to the system, being able to call audibles based on defensive shifts. That's probably not the recipe. But, other people have argued, well, Sam Bradford was practicing that with the Eagles. There should be no difference. But communication on the field is key.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why they're holding him off this week from starting is because he's got to get acclimated with the playbook, all the audibles, all the calls, communicating between him and the receivers and the O-line and all that other fun stuff that he's got to learn to do.
Yeah, I think Bradford's value does actually go up slightly. It's not much, but to me, I mean, he's got a hell of a lot better running back. To me, their wide receivers and tight end are probably a slight upgrade. I mean, Jordan Matthews is pretty damn good, but Stephon Diggs is pretty damn good as well. So like you said, Laquan Treadwell is going to be, a nice duo, and also with Rudolph. But then, like I said, the run game is going to help. The difference between Bridgewater and Bradford is Bridgewater's a runner first. He's more of like a running quarterback than he is a pass first quarterback where, the play action fake is going to be so much beneficial than it would be with Jesus Christ.
You and these names today.
I know.
Well, I'll move quickly on.
I can't even think of his name. Bridgewater.
Bridgewater. There you go, man. Hey, it's
brain farts all day, man.
I think that's been the theme of today with this allergy season keeps the head a little foggy.
Yeah.
I know it is with me as well. But going on to another team's wide receiver who may be in risk of missing week 1, Brandon Marshall for the New York Jets. He did practice in Monday. He did participate in Monday's practice. He's battling a hip injury, but his question is, it's unclear if Marshall was a full participant in this. And, there hasn't been any indication that his hip injury is serious, but he was held out of the final 2 preseason games. So, that will certainly hurt the Jets' prospectus in week 1, but certainly he was a must-start in most fantasy leagues in week 1. So a guy that I think you could turn towards, and I don't care what Matthew Berry has to say about Ted Ginn Jr. not being able to catch the ball, because apparently he got used to what Ted Ginn started at earlier in last year. Ted Ginn got his hands
pretty good.
He worked on the hands receiving that ball, and he definitely had a lot less drops in the last third of the season. Yeah. And there's no arguing his speed. He's got track runner speed.
Oh, yeah.
So I think if Ted Ginn Jr. is available out there, and Sunday morning that Brandon Marshall's not going, swoop up Ted Ginn Jr.
Yeah, it's definitely hard for a guy that's mostly just a return man to end up becoming a starting wide receiver position, you know?
Right.
So
Everything I've heard about Brandon Marshall is he's going to be going in week 1.
who do they play?
They play
Cincinnati, is that it?
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pac-Man
He's questionable now. They say that what Todd Bowles says, and he quotes, "No concern" after Brandon Marshall sat out in the 3rd preseason game. But
Right.
I don't see this sore hip unless like something flares up really bad. I don't see him missing week 1.
It might be gamemanship that you always see with those number 1 wide receivers. You know, they're listed as questionable, but they're planning on getting started. I know that's what the Atlanta Falcons are doing with Julio Jones. You know, his ankle, he returned to practice as well Monday, but only as a limited participant. Didn't participate a lot in the preseason. But he's a guy that he could not practice all week, and he starts week 1 and gets you like 25 points in a PPR league. So, you know, Julio Jones, I think you could be safe to say he'll be fine. But definitely check in with him with his status because he is battling a slight ankle injury. Carlos Hyde is somebody that I'm really worried about as he is having trouble clearing the NFL's concussion protocol.
Yeah, he's one of my boys.
Yeah.
So I actually might throw in Frank Gore for the week. He's my backup running back. So I mean, a lot of people don't realize Frank Gore is a starter out in Indianapolis, and he's gonna rush you. You know, I wouldn't say 100 yards, but he's gonna get probably close to like the 70, 80 mark. You know, it could get you that sneaky touchdown. But I still like Frank Gore. I know he's old. He's 34 years old, but he can still move.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got a Colts offense where Andrew Luck is back, fully healthy, ready to go. You know, so that play action is going to be great on their offense. And, you know, I think Frank Gore might actually see the ball more.
It's a better option than San Francisco has as their backup in Sean Drone, who actually is battling a rib injury as well. So he's not a guy that you should go pick up if you're a Carlos Hyde owner because he may not go either.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Just a mess.
You just took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I was about to say that they're a mess. You know,
Chip Kelly's there. That team's a mess.
One quick thing, I want to make a quick shift back to baseball real quick. We talked about it earlier on in the show and before the show. We're going to see a guy coming back from the DL and injury land in Clayton Kershaw as he makes his return to Dodgers on Friday in Miami. So all those guys that have been stashing him, obviously you're not dropping Clayton Kershaw. I don't care if he's not going to start the rest of the year. Maybe if it's in a non-keeper league, maybe you have to part ways if he's not going to start. But he is going to start, and he absolutely dazzled in his last rehab outing. So, I mean, look for him to light up Miami, who's a team that's been struggling to keep pace in the wild card. I know Tom Arnone's, his ears are lighting up. Kershaw's back.
Yeah.
they just lost to the Phillies yesterday, 6-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miami. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him struggle a little bit. I don't think they're going to actually get the wild card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be between the Cardinals, Giants, and Mets.
I think so, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what team's not struggling? The BMW of Atlantic City dealership. They challenge its sales team, especially. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway or online at BMW Atlantic City. On the other side, we're going to get to the poll results for one Yoan Moncada and wrap up. Is he a must-start in your fantasy football playoffs? And then we'll give a king, a jack, and a joker to round out the party that is Fantasy Dominance Now, only on a2dradio.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. 125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
And welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. And we're wondering, just like Ricky Jarrett from Ballers and maybe even Amir Abdullah starting in your fantasy football leagues in week 1 of the NFL, where's the love, people? Where's the love? I know Amir Abdullah tanked his rookie campaign, but he is a fresh play. If you want to know more fresh and stale plays, go to the beginning of the show, or actually second segment of the show, where we break down who should start and who should sit in week 1. We also covered Yoan Moncada, #1 Major League Baseball prospect, now on the Red Sox roster. Will he bring you a fantasy championship? Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Matt Cinsudi on the 1s and 2s. And my name is Rob Povia, steering the ship. We asked the people out there in the Twitter universe, is Yoan Moncada a must-start for the fantasy baseball playoffs? With 67% of the vote, they're saying yes. They're absolutely saying yes, and maybe they're going based on the pedigree, the 5-tool infielder that he is. I think, or at least my opinion, what I voted for and what I've stated on the show is I don't think he's a must-start. I think he's a must-own. And then you start him when he's playing against right-handers because he should be sitting against left-handers in favor of Aaron Hill. Brian, you had said no?
I had said no, too. I'm just not sold on him yet. He's not going to be getting as many at-bats as Aaron Hill will be. So, I mean, I would wait. I would wait until he gets some more consistent play.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, believe me, I mean, he's one of the most added players in fantasy baseball currently, as he's been added since his call-up. He's been added in 34.3% of leagues. So definitely the people are definitely high on him. When you have that roster spot, add him. Not a must-start. Mike, you're in agreement, or do you disagree?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking more towards a must-own kind of guy.
Right.
But it's tough. I mean, obviously, like you said, he's only going to go up against righties. And, that's tough. You might only get him for 2 or 3 games a week.
That's what they're saying now.
Yeah.
But let's say he gets a position, because he is a switch hitter, right?
True.
He can get on the right side of the box, right side of the plate in the box, and then they bring in a lefty. Maybe they keep him in the game just to see what he's got, and then he ropes an opposite field double by a pesky pole.
Listen,
then that changes everything.
If he could do that, I would say start him. And like I said before, I mean, he is in Boston's offense where, they'll average almost 5 or 6 runs a night. So it doesn't hurt because he's going to be on the base.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, everybody, thank you for voting on our Twitter poll, which is being sponsored by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountants. To schedule an appointment, call 215-369-3300 or show up in person, 301 Oxford Valley Road, Yardley, Pennsylvania. So, gentlemen, that leaves one last thing on the docket for today. We got people ready for week 1 in the NFL. We got people ready for their fantasy baseball championship. Let's talk little Kings, Jacks, and Jokers, shall we?
I like that idea. Kings, Jacks, and Jokers. That's always fun. Especially when you're doing your research and you realize that, like, oh, that guy's awesome. That guy's awesome. And then you get to find something like a Jack or Joker, and you're just like, God, people are dumb.
In case you're new to the show, this segment brings you all the current events both in and outside the sporting world. Some will make you proud, some will make your blood boil, while others will put a smile on your face, as you said, with some Jacks and Jokers. So leading off, Mike, who's your king this week?
My king is Brian Dozier. Yesterday he had 3 home runs, 4 RBIs. Probably the most underrated player this season, and I haven't even heard ESPN, anybody even talking about him. He's batting .279. He's got 92 runs, 38 home runs this season, and 91 RBIs with 13
He's a little
stolen
guy,
bases.
too.
Yeah.
Like, he's not big. He popped 38 off this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
For our league, that's 500 fantasy points exactly that he has so far this year.
He's been dynamite at second base.
Yeah, he's got 6 home runs in his last 4 games and 10 RBIs.
Doesn't he have like 30, or how many does he have on the year?
38.
38, right? Yeah, you'd said that.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It's a shame they can't put a team around him because he's a fantastic second
Right?
baseman.
Who's a bigger surprise this year, Brian Dozier or Mark Trumbo?
I think more Dozier.
Yeah, right?
We know that Trumbo's a slugger. I really, with Minnesota's offense, you really don't expect especially the RBI department,
right,
to be up like that.
Right.
Well, just for Brian Dozier's size, you don't expect him to be popping off 30 home runs.
Yeah.
Like from him, I've always seen him as an average hitter. He'll get you some doubles and stuff like that because he's got the speed.
Yeah.
But I never knew that I would have never expected the kind of pop out of a player like him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did expect pop when I was making my fantasy baseball rankings heading into the year, and he was definitely a second baseman that I was targeting. But if you asked me before the season started, how many homers do you expect? I would have said 25.
I would have said 15 to 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got one more king. I'm going to throw it out to my Pittsburgh love, all right? Javon Hargrave set to become...
Mute his mic. No, go ahead.
Hey, come on. Javon Hargrave set to become the first rookie defensive lineman to start for the Steelers in 22 years.
Damn.
So, I mean,
Saying
pretty sure
something.
He was a 3rd-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. 3rd or 4th round, but overall he's had a great, I'm blowing brain farts all day. I can't think of these words, man. I can't think of the preseason.
You're right.
Yeah.
Words.
I'm just ready.
Words
I'm just
are
ready
hard.
for the real season to get here, so I could just talk about that. But he had a
hear
great preseason, and to be the first one in 22 years to start on the defensive line is absolutely amazing, and it shows what it's saying.
Right. Well, I mean, it says a lot because you look at Pittsburgh Steelers defense over the years, always been a solid crew. Finally breaking through. You said 22, first one in 22 years. Yeah, it's impressive. I can see why you wanted to throw him as a sub-king.
Honorary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's definitely honorable mention worthy.
Yeah.
Every king has his right-hand man. And there you go. There you go. All right, moving on to the Jack category, which we always, Jack is short for jack off. And it's a female this week. And I'm going with one Lena Dunham from the HBO series Girls. She offered an official apology to Odell Beckham Jr. For comments that she had made. And she basically said, I feel terrible about it. Well, you should, Lena Dunham, because you clearly put your foot in your mouth. She issued the formal and clear apology on Saturday, a day after responding to comments she made about her interaction with the NFL player at the Met Gala. I owe Odell Beckham Jr. an apology. Despite moments of bravado, I struggle at industry events and in life. Yeah, no kidding. With the sense that I don't rep a certain standard of beauty, and so when I show up at the Met Ball surrounded by models and swan-like actresses, it's hard not to feel like a sack of flaming garbage. At least she's honest.
Wow.
Yeah. This felt especially intense with a handsome athlete as my dinner companion and a bunch of women I was sure he'd rather be seated with. But I went ahead and projected these insecurities and made totally narcissistic assumptions about what he was thinking, then presented those assumptions as facts, I feel terrible about it. You know, he basically, in a nutshell, he said that, that he basically, I know you don't want to be with me, so why don't you, go flog down one of these other hot models or what have you, really projecting her own insecurities. But it went viral across Twitter and Facebook and what have you, and basically saying that ODB is a misogynistic asshole. And that's what a lot of people got because they were taking what her opinion was as fact when he never did he didn't say anything. He was just sitting there. So, I mean, I'm not not a big Giant fan, not a big Odell Beckham fan, but Lena Dunham, you're a jack-off.
Love it.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to read off what exactly she said specifically.
What's the count on how many asses Odell Beckham looks at this year? I mean, he's already got hot tub videos with his partner, so
maybe
what's
his
the over-under?
misogyny.
What's the over-under?
I'm going at least 5.
So you're going to say at least 5? I'm going to go I'll go under 5.
Under 5?
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Here's what she came out and said. She goes, "It was so amazing because it was like he looked at me and he determined I was not the shape of a woman by his standards. He was like, that's a marshmallow, that's a child, that's a dog. It wasn't mean. He just seemed confused." He's basically was putting words in his mouth based on the way. And you know what, Lena Dunham, you are a fat pig. So I'm going to look at hot chicks too. Go screw yourself. You know what I mean?
I have to sit with her.
Right? So,
Nah, all kidding aside, I mean, she's definitely, got a pretty mug, I mean, certainly to make it in this business, you have to have a certain aesthetic look to you, so I don't know. She's just insecure, made these comments, people saw it as fact about Odell Beckham, and at least she was woman enough to come out and apologize for it, but it doesn't cover up the fact that she's a jack-off. All right, Brian, who is our joker this week?
for me, it's the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh.
Yeah, for multiple reasons, but the biggest one coming after this weekend, getting swept by the Atlanta Braves. One of the worst teams, if not the worst team in baseball. Offense is gone. Pitching was nowhere to be found. The Braves looked like a playoff team playing the Phillies this year, or this past weekend.
Yeah.
You play I believe it was a 4-game series against the Braves. You got to at least split that. You can't even get one win.
The Braves are the worst team in baseball according to my Major League Baseball power rankings.
Yeah, and I believe that's a lot of people's power rankings too.
Yeah.
On top of the standings, but
Right.
one of the other reasons is we're in September. We didn't see really anybody come up outside of a few pitchers. Zach, great. Now
I sent
Mikey's
over
giving
to
it to
him.
me.
What's it? Ethan, something like that?
Not Eichhoff. Eflin.
Yeah.
Zach Eflin came up.
Yep.
Struggled in his first couple starts, but he came around. Jake Thompson's starting to come around. But you don't see any of these other guys coming up. Nick Williams, who's probably about ready to come up. Dylan Cousins, who's destroying the ball in Double-A. So just skip Triple-A and bring him up here. You keep guys in like Peter Borges, who hasn't done crap all season long.
Yep.
He's a career 240 hitter. You're going to keep him in right field. Why not put Cousins out there?
Mm-hmm.
Cody Ashe, bum. I mean, you got Aaron Altair, who's been playing decent ball, but I want to see the future of this team starting to come up, and they're not doing it.
Do you think that they've achieved what most people expected out of them, which was the 75 win range, and they're just like, well, there's nothing left to play for this year. Let's just phone it in. Maybe hopefully make some call-ups, get some guys some major league experience. But in terms of being a competitive baseball team,
as far as being competitive, they are more competitive this year than they were last year. So I'll give them credit there. And Matt Glantak did a good job putting this team together. But you got to get this. You got to get this team. You got to get the future up here. You got to get the nucleus starting to play and getting to see major league pitching and just get these guys ready to go. You're expected to be a playoff team next year, and there's nobody up.
Yeah.
I mean, Freddie Galvis is probably going to be gone next year, and he's a bum in my opinion. He's a glove. That's about it.
Right.
Cesar Hernandez is a bum. He needs to go. He's supposed to be a base stealer. All he does is get on base. He doesn't steal bags. Mm-hmm. And then you did a good job with your catching crew this year. Cameron Rupp's played pretty well for the most part. Bringing up Tommy Joseph was a good call. But where's everybody else?
Right.
J.P. Crawford was expected to be up this year. Jorge Alfaro was expected to be up this year. Nick Williams.
Yeah.
He was expected to be up this year. These guys aren't up yet.
These are all guys that could help the Phillies, at least, maybe even come closer to the 80 game in the win column and help out in fantasy land too.
Yeah.
Nick Williams could definitely help out some fantasy owners.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a 250 average, 33 doubles, 64 RBIs. He can help you out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know that's coming a little personal for you, Brian, as a Phillies fan, but yeah, it was a joke, getting swept by the Braves.
It was.
Absolutely. Well, that's our show for this week, ladies and germs. Good luck. Best of luck in week 1 in the NFL. You want to stay tuned to a2dradio.com for the Hockey Happy Hour live at 2:30 p.m. Matt Sudi, Brian Daly pulling double duty, Rob Hovia pulling double duty, where we're going to be talking about Flyers training camp and some World Cup of Hockey news. So for Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Matt Sudi on the 1s and 2s, I'm Rob Hovia. Again, best of luck in week 1, and happy birthday, Nick. Love you, man. Take care. Peace.
Deuces.